Good evening to all my Break Free Media Mondays, or no, Break Free Mondays crew. It's almost 7 o'clock right now, and I'm just starting this. I'm just winging it. I don't even have any notes or anything. I just wanted to say a few things this evening. I've been so incredibly busy. I just got home a few minutes ago. I have to say something, make a confession. I just don't even wear any makeup because I'm allergic to everything. For years, I have not been able to wear makeup, so I have worn it in the past, but this time I'm not doing it. I don't. I'm 69 years old, and I do not. Uh, yeah, I'm totally natural. Okay, totally natural. So what you see is what you get. I think I might have said that before. I don't want to obsess about that, but anyway, I just thought that I would say that because I have itchy nose too. But last time I think I did wear some makeup, and I'm not today. But that's really not important. Yeah, everyone tries so hard to look so perfect in front of the camera these days. Even I think it's kind of sad that even kids they put these filters on now, so they don't really you don't see their true selves. So anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about, but that's my little introduction. Um, so over the past few days, I have been kind of attacked quite brutally by just about everybody, and it started with me writing a piece where I was just upset with the amnesia of the left. If any of you read that piece, and I posted it on Facebook, and I always post my essays on Facebook, but I get like no engagement there as I get no engagement on X. I just kind of do it as a habit. And this essay elicited quite a response, and it was interesting because quite a few people that I knew from way back when I was when I founded and was running Inside Out Writers, people who had been students and also teachers responded to that and just blasted me, as a racist and all of these kinds of things because I dared to point out the truth about their amnesia. I listed all of Joe Biden's uh, you know, awfully racist events and things that he said and did throughout the long history of his unillustrious career. And I pointed out specifically that it's so ironic because he is the one who introduced the bill that caused it was a three strikes bill and caused these very people that were now coming back at me with so much hatred, caused them to end up with these incredibly long sentences, children being tried as adults and facing these horrifically long sentences. I mean, it wasn't like, of course, if you commit a horrific crime, you should pay the price, but it wasn't like that. It was like even instances where somebody just happened to be there when a murder or armed robbery or something occurred, and they were sent away for 15 years, 25 years. I know, my very good friend Sylvia Sanchez was sent away for 25 years, and I knew her all that time and stayed in contact with her. So, so to have such, um, you know, I am not on a side. I also, and then I wrote a piece after the memorial service where I said a lot of good things about it, but I also said, pointed out some things that really concerned me. And then, of course, I got attacked by conservatives for that. And, this happens to me all the time because I don't want to look at, if you want to have somebody who always says exactly what you want to hear and doesn't challenge you intellectually or spiritually or anything like that. I mean, there's plenty of places you can go, but I cannot do that, and you can blame my dad for that because he stood up so strongly against against. I mean, he just stood up so strongly for the truth, and never. And I'm not saying that. I mean, I'm not. I couldn't even compare myself to him. Um, and I make mistakes and all of that, and he made mistakes too. But you cannot be afraid to speak out, and that's something that I've been noticing lately. And it's very difficult because when I saw this huge extravaganza of this event, the memorial service, and first of all, I can't, I mean, that's why I focus so much on Erica Kirk. I don't know her. I don't, I mean, I just, God bless her. God help her. I can't imagine what it must be like to, I was thinking about makeup because she was wearing a lot of makeup, to have to put on all that makeup, she probably has these hair extensions. Who knows how long it took her to get ready for that event. But nowadays, this is what you have to do if you're in the public eye. And it was such a huge event and with so many powerful, the most powerful people, in the country, in the world. And I mean, some of the speeches really kind of scared me actually, but I'm not going to get into all of that. And some of them were wonderful. Um, but I thought about it and I thought, could I see Jesus on that stage? Jesus, the man that, he had one cloak that he wore. He hung out with the poor and the needy and the sick. And I don't think Jesus would, I'm sorry, but I don't think Jesus would even be recognized at such an event. And I know that my father, if he were alive right now, Dave Hunt, would say the exact same thing. That is not to say that people, there can't be people's hearts can't be moved, and people can't, become better people, or they can't become Christians, or they can't go back to their, there's a lot of that happening. And I mentioned that in my piece, but we need to remember what the basic truth is of Christianity, because they are making this into a Christian nation, all right? And this is a very, very dangerous thing to do because, the real Christians are the ones who are persecuted. And we are going to see that happen. We are going to see that happen in this country, in the United States. And it's been hard for me because I am, I'm finishing up writing this book about my time in Luxor, and I have to get my mind away from all of this craziness that's going on, and then just lose myself back in that story of when I was there on the West Bank of Luxor, Egypt, and going through all these trials and tribulations that I went through there. And one of the things that struck me while I was watching this event was, when I was in Luxor, I was alone. I was really alone. I had to stand up for what I believed, and nobody was standing with me. I had one friend, which was Gita, and that's in this part of the story. That's not the whole story. That's only one part of the story that I have to tell. But one thing that I knew who my enemies were. It was very clear to me who my enemies were. There was no, wondering. There was no, sort of any facade or anything like that. It wasn't complex. I came to know who my enemies were, who I needed to face and look in the eyes and confront boldly. That's what I had to do when I was there. And we don't, and here it's not like that. It's not like that. But the other thing that I want to say is that there was not a single woman that lived there, foreign woman that was living there at that time. And this was during COVID, this whole thing that went towards the very end of my stay there, when it got very dangerous. So all the tourists were gone. It was another world. It was a world cut off from the rest of the world. And the foreign women that lived there, that were married to these men, not a single one of them stood up. Not a single one of them came to Gita's defense, and I, stood up for Gita because that was the right thing for me to do. It was one woman, one person who did that. No one else was going to do that. In fact, the next day after this happened, there was a huge big confrontation where I confronted these men at Gita's gate, and one of the women that was supposed to was supposed to be my friend, um, and was supposed to introduce me to like a nonprofit there, and I was going to do an exchange of writing and art with kids there, with kids at a high school back in California. And that was what I was trying to put together. And she messaged me the next day and she said, I can never talk to you again. I can never, after what has happened. And then she just blocked me. I think she's unblocked me since. But it was, and it wasn't, and I understood. It was, I didn't, it was too dangerous for her. Everyone was ruled by fear there. And nobody could stand up. And that is not the first time that has happened in my life where I have seen that. So I do not expect when I speak out or I say something, I don't expect there to be any, big, oh yeah, wow, that's so great, Karen. No, most of the time I kind of expect the opposite a lot of times. And I just, and the whole thing with Tucker Carlson at that event, everyone says, well, yes, of course. No, when you tell something that is very seductively false, there is always a great element of truth in it. Yes, what he said was, when he started his little funny story, yes, of course, the Jews killed Jesus. Well, that's a fact, so why should we argue about that? It's a fact that they did that. But why did he say that? Why was that what he had to say on that stage in front of the entire world? I mean, he didn't say that for no reason. He wasn't saying it because, in comparison that, Charlie Kirk stood up against, the world, and so he was killed for it. That was not the intent. He could easily have said something else because he knew very well what he meant, and he knew very well how people were going to take it who can see what is happening. And it's all about this replacement theology, because that's the next step. The Jews are not God's chosen people. The Jews are the ones that murdered Jesus. And there's already all the theories going around that it's, the Jews killed Charlie Kirk. So that's always, it's just one of the things that goes around. So that is what this is all being prepared for. And it's not that I'm like a big fan of all the evangelicals. No, every group has, I don't belong to any group. I'm a Christian. I follow Jesus. But there is a very huge push with this Christian nationalism to make the United States into a Christian country, to destroy the evangelical, very powerful side, because those are the ones who most support Israel in the United States. And this is all, as a Christian, and thank God for my father, who gave many, many talks and sermons about this, because it was so much on his heart that this is what was going to happen, that the whole world was going to turn against Israel, and that God did not break his covenant to his people, Israel. And the whole point of this is that this is a battle, a spiritual battle between God and Satan. And again, you don't have to believe all of this, but I'm just trying to explain to you the importance of it in this political climate. So, God, there's a battle between God and Satan, and God promised that his son, the Messiah, would come through the line of David. And so that's why up until the time of Jesus, everything was done by Satan to try and foil that plan. Remember that also Caesar, after Jesus was born, all the male babies were killed. But then Jesus was born, of course, didn't succeed in killing Jesus. And again, God made this promise to his people: you are my people, you are my chosen people, this is your land. And if Satan can turn it around so that Christians turn against God's people and exterminate, actually kill, if all the Jews can be killed. And look, that's been a plan down through history. Kill all the Jews. And miraculously, this people has survived. And that's because they are God's people. And if Satan could, this is the spiritual battle that we're talking about, if Satan could succeed in exterminating the Jews, in destroying God's plan, God's prophecy, all the prophecies that God has placed there, then Satan wins and he proves that God is a liar. So this is that battle I'm trying to explain that is going on behind the scenes, and it is being allowed to happen. The apostate prophet, who I absolutely love, he was there. He was at the Turning Point USA event, not at the. He didn't speak at the memorial, of course, but he was on the stage at the TPUSA, their last big conference event. And it was so exciting, I think, for him to be there and for him to have his voice heard. I love his story. He's so intelligent. He's so witty. He always has something great to say. But I noticed, God bless you, apostate prophet. But I did notice him then defending the fact that Tucker Carlson was on the stage and saying, they should, nobody gave me a script. I was able to say whatever I wanted. And that's the beauty of Turning Point USA, that anybody can get up there and anybody can speak and they're free to say what they want to say. Really? No, not anybody can get up on that stage. The people get up on that stage who they know exactly where they stand. They know exactly what they're going to say. And everybody knew exactly what Tucker Carlson was going to say and what he was going to get across. And that was part of the plan. So all of this, all of the conspiracy theories, I don't really care whether the bullet went through Charlie Kirk's neck and came out the other side or stayed, all of this, all of these crazy stories. He died. It was horrific. It was evil. And we are in very dark days. That's about it, all right? And I will continue to point out, it's what I believe to be things that on my heart, because of my faith, that I want to warn people about. And I will never be on one of those big stages. I will never fit it. My father never was. He never fit in there. He was always against all of that. So for that, I give him great respect, and that's the path that I will continue to follow. All right, so that's all I wanted to say, and I think I'm going to do a little bit more of these types of speaking like this, what's on my heart. All right, thank you so much for being here. I love you all. God bless you all, and I'm going to get back to my writing. I'm so excited. I'm going to be so happy when this whole thing is finished. Oh, well, by the way, I'm very obsessive about my writing. I'm obsessive about everything. My mind never stops. And even when I write an essay, it's like it takes me many, many, many hours to do that. It's not easy for me. I agonize over everything that I write. Also, as an artist, it's the same with my artwork, although I have no time for that now, which is sad. So yeah, it's a big process writing this book, and I want to get it right. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful evening, night. It's a little bit, I'm a little late, not quite 7 o'clock. Sorry about that. But anyway, see you later with the next essay.